Good morning, everybody out there in the world, Facebook family, YouTube family. Good morning. Hold on, let me update this. Make sure everything is good. Public. Okay, cool. All right, cool, man. So look, so we back in here again. You know what I'm saying? It's a new day. Thank the Most High for today. You know what I'm saying? And add a blessing to our conversation. You know what I mean? So we can make sure that we head and flowing in the right directions at all times. Um, and yeah, we had an interesting show yesterday. I was listening to it, and it really made a lot of sense. Resonated very well. A lot of people responded very, very good to it. So we're gonna continue this because after that conversation, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I had a couple of conversations about what was being talked about and how it affects us and how it affects us as a people, and you know the way the world is gonna look and things like that. These type of topics. And then of course, a part of the conversation came up about why care about where people are headed to that don't even care about themselves, like you know. Um, but I could sit there and even in that moment, ask pastors from earlier days why would they stand up in front of people? Uh, Leadership like the Black Panther Party and different things that was going on with our people all throughout this history of after the um, move in of foreign interests. Why we've been on this kick of getting away from people and trying to make sure that we stay identified and acknowledged where we are. You know. They go back to when I said yesterday that many are called and few are, very few are chosen. You know what I'm saying? Some people had a calling to just do more for their people. Like they can see more, they can see deeper. And these people should be treated with the utmost respect. Not to be taken lightly. Downtrodden to push to the side like it's time to push these people into places and avenues of respect, because you put these people, you do it like this, like if I say that I'm going to supply a water stream to you, a stream of water, and the primary stream of water is filled with contaminants and pollutants, and, all of the things that you don't need to grow and survive and be strong and healthy, right? And I say, well, your filtration, so this is dirty water, it's nasty, but it's nasty and dirty for everybody. Okay, is everybody getting the same water? And your filtration is based upon the leadership that you put in the way of the flow of the water. So we're going to call the leadership the strain. Okay, we're going to call the leadership the filter. The type of leadership, the type of water that you're going to get is going to be predicated on the filtration of the leadership that you put in the flow of the water from the mainstream. So you guys better pick the best filter so you can get the best water. So somebody that has a higher knowledge base or a greater wisdom than those people around them should be the person elevated into a space, especially if they've proven to the people around them, that their heart is of a certain caliber, meaning that I'm here for you. No matter what I do, the Spirit won't let me turn away from helping you, teaching you, showing you, providing for you, acknowledging you, not just me going up by myself alone. Because when you put the leadership in place that's only about self, they're not going to filter out any contaminants. They're going to let their people around them absorb the contaminants. You understand? You get the contamination. Because I'm not here to filter for you. I'm here to filter for me. So my filter is small. So I can't use it for everybody. I'm only going to use it for me. Interesting. So yesterday we was talking about finances and why, you know what I'm saying, people going to cash these checks with Citibank and all this. I mean, with Chase Bank and all that. And these things were happening and going on. So it sparked my curiosity into cashless, the cashless society standard. Because, and you know what, I'm just gonna give y'all a brief overview. Okay, so what I pulled up here is I have a couple of websites in front of me. And the first thing that I want to look into is what's a process that's called de-dollarization. Okay? De-dollarization is when a country decides that they no longer want their currency to flow according to the American standard or the dollar standard. American dollar. Okay. So I'm going to read a piece of this just so you can kind of get a brief overview and kind of, you know what I'm saying, understand where I'm going with this, right? So a new chapter in the history of global finance is being written in the wake of the dollar catastrophe. Okay, so they said there was a dollar catastrophe. The need for more balance and diverse monetary system around the world has put the U.S. dollar's once dominant status under pressure. Interesting. Now, that line says a lot because, first of all, the call for a more balanced and diverse diversity of financial institution or financial power. They're trying to split or divide or divvy the power of the American dollar over foreign nations. Interesting. That's very interesting. So to the point where the U.S. dollar's once dominant status is now under pressure. So we're inside of this country. We're seeing the prices raising up for the most insignificant items. Can't even hardly buy a loaf of bread no more. It's like $4-5 for a loaf of bread. Okay? Unless it's going to kill you, then it's like $1 something. So we're feeling the crunch. Listen. We're feeling the pressure of the world trying to divvy up the American power. Look, the power of the American dollar. They're trying to divvy that power up over different foreign institutions around the world. That is extremely interesting. Now, remember yesterday we spoke and said that nobody has value in the United States of America except for the original people of this continent. The people that know me, you're going to kind of pick up where I'm going in a minute. It's going to make sense. So, on this hand, the world is trying to destabilize the dollar enough to fracture the power so that different institutions or different countries around the world, continents around the world, can now take a piece of that power and claim themselves to be a superpower of finance in their arena. Okay, now, on the other hand, the American people, the only people with true value in America, are being squeezed for the remaining bits of their value. Interesting. That is very interesting. Mind you now, the Federal Reserve Bank, which we're going to get to that. The Federal Reserve Bank is a foreign institution comprised of multiple foreign entities that was then dropped in American soil and created a system called fractional banking. Okay. We going because I'm going somewhere with this, and I hope that you guys are able to follow where I'm going or where I'm at so far. You know what I'm saying? I hope you all are able to follow where I am so far, because I'm going somewhere with this. Every day they are posting politics or posting on places like CNN and ABC and Fox News on how the rest of the world is moving more towards this BRICS community. Brazil, Russia, India, China, what's the S? Something else. And I know Nigeria and them is a part of that. I think, if I'm not mistaken. Certain parts of Africa is a part of it as well. BRICS. Okay. This is supposed to be the new finance. Now, mind you now, the BRICS dollar is worth what? 15 American? Or is 15 American dollars? So they're already hyperinflating that currency in order to push us, the original people, into a state of third world ship. Because guess what? Look at what happens in America now. I was just talking about this right before I got on here. Look what happens in America now. Somebody will say, this melanated person will come forward and say, man, God, Lee, man, like, I just got paid, did this, did that, did that. We know the routine. I ain't got no bread. Then I get online, these people is flying all over the world, taking trips. It's almost like this ain't even affecting them. How is that possible? Okay? How is it possible that I'm living this life, this reality, and I can't even afford to go out on the weekend if I wanted to? Can't even afford to go to a bar and sit still and have me a drink, just chill for a second if I wanted to. That's too far out of the way. How are these people going on these extravagant vacations and living and pretty much living in Airbnbs and flying all over the world? Okay. This is where you got to start beginning to use critical thinking, rational thinking, in order to understand why these things exist. Because the game says that in order to deceive many, a few have to look like they're living the dream. We all know this, okay? The majority of things that you see on social media, you know is false. People really only going to show you the highlights of their life. They're not going to show you the majority of the time they sit in the negative. When regular everyday people who enjoy social media on a regular everyday consumption rate disappear, it's because they're going through a dip in their life. Most times they're going through a dip. They don't have the drive to keep posting every day. You know, there's nothing really good going on. Everything is kind of like them trying to work themselves out of the hole they're in. So you pay attention, you can see how people flow. Then once things are good, not everything is good, they give you all these positive quotes about life, and you know what I'm saying? They got so much to say and so much to show you and so much to teach, right? Because now it's good. Now it's love and light. You feel me? You gotta be aware of what's going on around you at some point in time. Else none of this shit is gonna make sense. I'm gonna keep saying this. None of this shit out here gonna make sense. It ain't gonna make any sense until you can pay attention to what's happening with the money. Okay? This false spirituality thing that's going on is a distraction. If these spiritual gurus that you guys are falling under are not telling you why your blood is boiling when you go in the sun, why you start boiling from the inside, from within, when you go out in there and go out into the sun, then they're not leading you in a direction for the redemption of your people. They're only satisfying the algorithm to which they subscribe in order to keep that check flowing. This is the time and the season of war. Look around the world. There is a heat up, and the world is expected to continue to keep heating up over the next course of XY exponential years. It's going to continue to keep heating up. We are not going to get out of this heat wave. What heat does to molecules? Molecules create heat by speeding up. They become more rapid. When the molecules become more rapid in movement, they generate heat. Okay? So the gamma radiation, when you put gamma radiation on a certain set of molecules, mostly melanation, the melanin begins to rapidly increase in vibration. People don't understand why the hope would grow, and it would get stronger and bigger and faster and meaner and more destructive. That's called gamma radiated melanin. You get the intensity, the heat. It's the heat that drives you mad. Okay? So when you go outside, you're supposed to be feeling the effects of a system that has denied you your birthright for generations. You should feel heated on the inside. Most of the time we say, man, I'm heated, man. What that mean? We out there, you know what I'm saying? People talking in the street, man, that nigga got me heated, man. I'm heated, man. Why they doing me like this? I'm heated. That mean what? I'm angry. I'm mad. So you go outside, what you is? You're heated from within, like a microwave, like a convection oven. You're heated. You should be mad. But what do we do in our mind? Oh no. We force ourselves to be submissive. We force ourselves to be agreeable. We force ourselves to be in this space of get along with me. I want y'all to get along with me. I want y'all to see me like this so that y'all can think that I'm nice enough to be a part of. So you can include me. Why would you want to do that? I'm just... Mother Nature is calling for her children to return back to nature. A computer program can't go into nature. It can copy nature, try to look like nature, try to act like nature, emulate nature, replicate nature, but it can never be nature because it is denatured. It was created of denaturization. Otherwise, it would not be producing concrete to flow over all of the life. Buildings and concrete. No. The buildings would then be built in congruency with the trees. The buildings will be built in congruency with the landmass, with the water flow. You feel what I'm saying? With everything that is nature, the buildings will be built in congruency with. That's not what's going on here. Things have to die for things to be built. Understand? Listen to what I just said now. Things have to die for things to be built. Now we're going to jump back over to the world financial stage. The wealth of America, the value of the dollar, the power, the prismatic power of the American people, the melanin inside of the original people of America, the value that the kingdom of America, the land that flows with milk and honey, once had, is on the brink of being completely decimated. Spread out into foreign fictitious entities because we literally are giving our life force over to the matrix, to the point where we're fueling the one world society, the one world government, the one world cashless world. We are fueling it to come into existence because we continue to try to participate with a false reality, and we won't change our ways. So where the Spirit says, why do you still keep getting up going to work? We had that whole movement, right? Then outside of that, what they gave us. Because COVID, look, when you come in and say C-19, we know we done debunked all this. So C-19, we know that that's not what was really going on. So what was really going on? It was an awakening. It was an awakening of the melanated people. You know how many of our people saying, man, I ain't going to work no more, man. Bump these. Look, you know how we do. There was an awakening. But you got to get out ahead of the awakening. See, this is what media does. That's why I tell you why social media is so dangerous. You get out ahead of the awakening and you proclaim a sickness and you plant this and you supplant this and you do this to these people and you experiment over here and then you make it go global media-wise. Media-wise. It goes global media-wise. Okay? So as these people over here are awakening, these people over here are going through the the plagues of Egypt. Sickness, famine, disease, bloody rivers, cattle dying, plague of frogs and locusts. These things was going on all over the world while COVID was being shown to us. Look, man, they got to include us in their destruction some type of way. And how many of us went and ran and got that dang on that vaccine, right? We went and ran to it, thinking that that's the way we got to go. That's the way. But that, man, come on. Now, with that vaccine, you have a life expectancy of 5 years. 5 years after taking it. 5. This is not me. This is the scientists and the doctors that have set these things in motion, that went and studied these things further after the fact. 5-year life expectancy. If you used to donate blood for good causes, they don't want your blood no more. It's considered contaminated. This is after getting your vaccine now. Your blood is now contaminated. I didn't make this up. These are the doctors and the scientists that y'all believe in. Your blood is contaminated. They don't want it. At some point, we're going to wake up and learn. We're going to see what's going on. We're going to understand. You feel what I'm saying? It's a transfer of energy. This is the greatest wealth transfer that ever happened on the planet. A lot of these black people think going to go running up to the digital world is the answer. That's how they're going to strip a lot of wealth from those black people. See, they got to include the other nations as well. The Africans. See, the Africans are not under the contracts of America. You understand? So Africans, you can't subversify African people with going to go buy goods and services that have been hyperinflated and going to pay all these high rent and high interest rates, because the African people are not under that system. So in order to them to transfer their wealth, you have to create a system, digital, and then give it to them easily via cell phone. Okay? So now they have access to digital currency. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to hand over all their wealth. Have you been watching how the digital currency world fluctuates, how the market fluctuates, the way that it fluctuates? One of the biggest pyramid schemes on the planet right now. The more people buy into it, the more value it has. Okay? The only way you can liquefy it and sell it is if you buy a whole bunch of it at the beginning and hope that the system doesn't somehow have a discrepancy to where you lose everything you bought. And if you make it through that time by hiding it and subversifying and shifting over here and going over there and sending it over there and all this extra stress, then if enough people, if it gains enough popularity and it has enough utility and enough people buy in, then you might be able to get out of here. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much just to try to deceive the true original beings of America out of their birthright. That is why all of this is going on. Until we realize that, until we can really wrap our hands around that concept, everything that we're doing is just spinning our wheels. We can go vote for the next politician. We can go have all kind of rallies and meetings, and it won't matter until you wrap your hands around the concept and the ideology that all of this stuff is happening to the original people. Now, look, what's today? Today is 94224. 988. Okay? Oh, sorry, 948. I want to see how many of your so-called gurus now are going to come out speaking like this. Because there's nothing, look, most of these people cannot generate things from the ether. I done opened up 2 books and I haven't read anything to you from just a little bit. Most of this is coming from ether. This is from the spirit. This is because the people need to hear this. You must return back to your birthright. If you're going to save yourself, your family, and as a result of this, save the world. You must return back to your birthright and your bloodline. The things that they're destroying. Children ain't even gonna know slavery existed. So they'll never get inquisitive enough to go studying deeper than that. Because why? They tearing down all the statues. They're taking all the black history, all the African American history out the books now. They're destroying that part of history, which lets you know that the history they gave you, if it can be destroyed, it ain't true. Don't you know they had a plan to come into our world and destroy all of our history? But the world still holds our true history. You just got to go searching for it. It's still there. You cannot destroy the truth. You can't get rid of the truth. The only thing you can do is lie and deceive and distract people and mislead people away from what's real. That's the only power you have. The Bible tells us that this is the power of the devil, the enemy. Deceive, deception, to lie. Let's see. Listen to this. I told you the Federal Reserve Bank is a foreign institution. If it's a foreign institution, it has nothing to do with the American people. Let that soak. If the Federal Reserve Bank is a foreign institution, it is a private foreign bank. It has nothing to do with the American people outside of stripping the value of the landmass. Okay. If it's an American-made bank, it's not going to strip its own people of value. It don't have to. It's a part of those people. It's a part of the landmass. The value of the people is its value. Okay? Now, a foreign entity bank, let's say this foreign entity bank was set up in maybe Germany. The value is to take the value from somewhere else and bring it back to this. Now, once we take enough value from here and we take it back over here, now we can diversify the value that we stole. Here I am today on public decree. I curse every piece of value taken from my people until it's returned back to my feet. Every piece of value, gold, silver, diamonds, ruby, labor, tobacco, 600 crops that we put into Africa. Every aspect of value that was taken from my people will carry a curse until it is returned monetarily, gold, silver, rubies, back to the feet of me and my people. This is what we're dealing with in this hour. 44 million African American people are about to hand all of the value of their ancestral realm over to a foreign entity. You want some truth? Take this truth. I'm not naming nobody out there. This is the truth. On watch. I guarantee you're going to start hearing this all over. Watch. Because they feel like, oh, you ain't got no traction. Okay. You'll see. Watch. Watch what I'm telling you. This is going to become a mainstream topic. Watch what I'm telling you. Watch what I'm telling you now. So look, listen to this. I'm reading for you now. This is out of a book called Meet Your Straw Man and Whatever You Want to Know. This book is about $5 online. You can go on Amazon and get it for like $5. All right, so this book was written by, hold on. Let me go to the page so I can tell you who it was written by. Hold up. Made in the United States, Orlando, Florida. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can email or if you want to go to the webpage or whatever, it's nationallibertyalliance.org. Okay, you can order these books from off there. All right, so these books are very informative, and they also have a lot of websites at the back that you can go to see clear and distinct the things that we are talking about here today. And I'll be sharing these websites with you guys. Matter of fact, I'll put them on my Facebook page. Yeah, I'll put them under the video on my Facebook page. I'll start putting them in there, so you guys can see these things, and you guys can begin to utilize these instruments for your own families and for your own situations, because that's what they're for. But you have to understand, if you do not understand that the melanated people are the ones that hold the value, you have to understand it. This is why they always come to us for our vote last, because if they take our vote first and we really know and understand we have the opportunity to learn about what's going on around us, we're going to vote in our favor away from the foreign interests. That's what we're going to do. We're going to vote in our favor. The government, then the Congress, these people that falsely sit up there, for 70, 80, 90 years, who are really truly the enemy to our people in this country, they have no choice but to either lie to us or give us what is ours. But because they put this false democracy mindset over our people, they can continue to rape, rob, and pillage without giving us anything back. It's all a game. It's a system. But you have to know who you are in the game. Now, listen to this. So finally, in 1913, the private central bankers of Europe, in particular the Rothschilds of Great Britain and the Warburgs of Germany, met with their American financial collaborators on Jekyll Island, Georgia. Jekyll Island, Georgia. We're going to have to talk about Jekyll Island, Georgia. It's very interesting, man. Very, very, very interesting. Very ritualistic. Very satanic. We're going to talk about Jekyll Island. Matter of fact, let me write this down. I'm going to write it down that we got to talk about Jekyll Island. Because it has a lot to do with the way our finances are flowing now today. Okay? Jekyll Island, as a matter of fact, that is the primary reason why our finances are flowing. The meetings they had on Jekyll Island are the primary reason why our finances are going in the direction they're going now. Okay? Jekyll Island is talked about hardly ever amongst our people. Caucasian people talk about the history of Jekyll Island, the mystery of Jekyll Island, and what happened and how it was set up. But how it affects our people, that's one thing that's never talked about. We're going to go into that. So listen. So they met on Jekyll Island with their American financial collaborators who were also foreign interests. Because remember now, this was after the 13 colonies were set up. So this was 1913. So all that had already happened. So you already have the foreign interests already in America. You've already had the gold rush of the southeastern part of the United States, where they relocated the American Indians to what's called the Trail of Tears, to the midwestern part of the country, where they thought it was desert and there was nothing there to provide value. Okay, so all of the black Indians in the South were moved from their land to the middle of the country. Now let's go. So when they met on Jekyll Island, Georgia, they were meeting to form a new banking cartel with the express purpose of forming the third bank of the United States. The third bank. Now you have to ask yourself, what were the first two banks? Let's go here. Let's see. Because you have the Freedmen's Bank, because that was one. Look, all right. First Bank of America. I'm typing with one hand. Y'all don't talk about it. All right. So we have the First Bank of the United States is what it's called, okay? So the First Bank of the United States was headquartered in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Key people was Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Willing, and George Washington. Okay, it's about 1791. All right. So this was the first bank that was set up under the corporate charters of the 13 colonies. Okay. So they call this the First Bank of America, or of the United States. Mind you, now the United States is a corporate charter. Okay, the United States is not a continental landmass. It is only a piece of paper down in Washington at a filing cabinet in Washington D.C. Okay. Now listen to this about the first bank. So the president, directors, and company of the Bank of the United States. The president, directors, and company of the Bank of the United States, commonly known as the First Bank of the United States, was a national bank, chartered for a term of 20 years by the United States Congress on February 25th, 1791. Now, here's what's interesting about the bank. The first line says the president, directors, and company. Those original people would have been American Indians, because mind you now, the first 8 presidents were American Indians. They were black people. That's why they don't talk about them. That's why they always want to start us at George Washington. George Washington was not the first president of the United States. Okay, when the United States of America was first brought in, or was first proposed to the people, it was in utter chaos, complete chaos, and it took the Aborigines, or the indigenous people of America, who already had a knowledge of systems of government, in order to set it in motion. This is a history they do not want you to know. Okay, because if you want to find out what's going on, you have to follow the money. Okay, so what that tells you is that at the initiation of the First Bank of the United States, we were in control. Look, our people were in control of the finances of America. We were in control. It's not about ownership, it's about control. Who controls the money? Who controls the government? Who controls because whoever controls everything. Okay. Now it makes sense. So you have a group of people that have come into this country from a foreign nation that are seeking control. Okay. So the president, directors, and company would have first covered the original people of America. Now you see presidents, directors, and company, and you think some European foreigner. That's not the truth. That's the lie. When I go downtown, Pensacola here, when I go downtown to go do my tag and all this other kind of stuff, and I go into this ancient building that's been there before any foreigner came, the building was already there. Then I look all over, they don't put all these Caucasian people all over the wall. That's the lie. They won't tell you who they was doing business with when they first came here, looking to be absorbed in. So you can get a 5 flags of Delune. They're not going to tell you the truth about who was here already doing business, already doing cities, already doing politics and banking. They're not going to tell you who they came across, because they're going to have to point to the majority of the people that live in Escambia County. That's who they're going to have to point to. See what I'm saying? They're not going to tell you the truth. That's why they try to give us these little falsehood people like Chappie James and all these little people to throw us off, and try to make it all about them. No. Those people are the people who sold their people out. That's why you'll never see me worshiping no Chappie James or none of these other folks they try to put up in your face, because those are the people that sold their people out. Okay? But the true knowledge, the true understanding, the true Mayan people, the true Indians of America, the people that understood how to set up a city, how to set up a bank, how to set up a school to teach. The true people of America, they don't want you to see those people, because then you'll be looking at me. Okay? So now we understand now that this is the First Bank of America. Okay? This was the bank that was controlled by the Indians. At a later time, through what did they say? How did they say they took it? By the United States, they chartered it in the United States in February 25th, 1791. That's when they rechartered it. Okay? You changed the rules. Okay? It followed the Bank of North America, okay, which was the nation's first de facto national bank. De facto, ruled by the people. Understand? You got to follow the paper trail. This is where the Indians were completely in control. The Bank of North America. The first bank, we were coming out of control. Okay. However, neither served the functions of a modern day central bank. They did not set monetary policy because there was no policy needed. You see what I'm saying? You only need policy in a false system, in a false institution. You have to set up policy because now you're going into the rulership or you're going into the realm of deception, okay, and greed. So you have to set up policy in order to keep things in alignment, else it'll get out of control real fast. Okay, they did not set monetary policy or regulate private banks, hold their excess reserves, or act as a lender of last resort. So a lender of last resort is the institution in a financial system that acts as a provider of liquidity to a financial institution which finds itself unable to obtain sufficient liquidity in the interbank lending market when other facilities or such sources have been exhausted. It's unable to keep funding itself. So you have to act as a lender of last resort. So what they're saying is the Federal Reserve Bank. So let's say, for instance, if Bank of America in Pensacola says, oh man, I ran out of money, I don't have no more money, then the Federal Reserve Bank can lend them money as a last resort to keep them going, to keep the bank going. Haven't we seen that recently? Haven't they called that a bailout? That's what you get in a false system. Okay? In a real system, you have what's called checks and balances. Money is backed by a resource. So you didn't need all this lender of last resort when you had the Bank of North America because things were backed by gold and silver. So you would take your gold to the bank and they would give you gold certificates. Everything is equal. However, when you're dealing in fractional banking, in a fractional banking system or a false system, now you need a lender of last resort because the possibility of you running out of money increases because it's not there's no money in there anyway. Man, you got to change the rules in order for this to come in. Now, how do you change the rules? You go through what's called the Uniform Commercial Code. There's so much that we have to cover. Probably have to do 2 videos a day. This is crazy. Okay? So, this bank was national insofar as they were allowed to have branches in multiple states and lend money to the U.S. government. Other banks in the U.S. were each chartered by and only allowed to have branches in a single state. So the Federal Reserve Bank, or the Bank of North America, was different because it could have branches in multiple states. So you see the reason or the need to take it over? Because even if you came in through the U.S. government and started a state, let's say the Federal Reserve came in and said, I want to start a bank in Florida. Okay, you can start a bank in Florida, but you're only allowed to have branches in that state only. Make sense? Okay, so we have to go bigger. We need the main bank because the main bank has the ability to set up branches in multiple states. Now, when you go into the Federal Reserve system and district, you have A district, B district, C district, D. So look, I'll show you. I'll pull it up right now. The Federal Reserve districts. I'll show you because this was just a commandeering. I'm going to use the right words, right? Because words have meaning. So the Federal Reserve Bank commandeered through contract the First National Bank in order to gain access to supply multiple branches in different areas of the country. Okay. Federal Reserve Bank. I'm looking at it. There's a Federal Reserve Bank of New York. There's a Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. There's one of Richmond. There's one of Atlanta. There's one of Boston. There's one of Minneapolis. There's a Bank of San Francisco. Are you catching what I'm saying? You got to follow the money. Okay? So now you have each bank, or each Federal Reserve Bank now has a district inside the continental U.S. Okay? Inside the continental U.S., each Federal Reserve Bank, or the main Federal Reserve Bank hub, has now given a subsidiary district all over the United States of America. From this subsidiary, now you have the creation of Chase Bank, Citibank, Bank of America, Navy Federal, and the list goes on. Wells Fargo, this and the third, XYZ, right? Okay. Now, some may come up and say, but there's a difference between a normal bank and a credit union. Yes, the difference between a normal bank and a credit union is this. The credit union is germane to the state. Remember now, I just read to you that if you do not have the power of the First National Bank, you cannot set up banks all over this country. You have to have what's called a you can only provide banks for the state that you're in. For instance, if I go to Florida, if I'm Bank of America and I'm doing business in Florida, then I'm gonna get a business license in Florida, right? From that business license, I can spread Bank of America all over Florida. Now I go get a business license in California. That's why you'll see banks in certain places that you won't see them in other places, because they'll go to where their highest population centers are. You feel me? So I can go to places around the country and I can't find a Navy Federal. I can't find Wells Fargo. I can't find Citibank. But I can go to those same places and now I can find Credit Human. I can find this or I can find that I can't find in other. You understand? So the Federal Reserve has commandeered or laid a veil over the First National Bank, changed the rules, and now they have the power of that banking dynamic without having to give back to the original people. You follow the money. Okay? It's a foreign interest. Stop siding with the foreign interest and stand on your own interest. Stand on your own 2 feet, original people. If you go to them and they tell you you can't do something, push anyway. Don't let the secretary tell you what you can and can't do. Push past the secretary. Because their job in this system is to lie. The police. Don't you know that even a police, he has what? What is it called? He has executive what's that word? Executive. I'll think of the word in a minute. But the police according to the rules that are given to the police and the police that are out here dealing with people every day, it's literally in their rules that they can lie whenever they get ready, and there's no consequence. Meanwhile, they sit in a court of law. How many times have you sit in the court of law, you put your hand on the Bible and raise your right hand up, you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth, the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, I do. And they still, their ability to lie supersedes that oath. Executive officer. Go look up the rules of an executive officer. All of this is predicated on the value of the original people of America. The value of the original people of America. That is what this is all about. This whole world scheme. This is what this is all about. Raping, robbing, and pillaging the original people of America. That starts from 2024 and goes all the way back to 500 AD. How can we get in and take the value of those people that have been given the birthright of the Most High? You see, now we have to go into an ethereal base, and we haven't even read none of these books. Crazy. Because the ethereal value is given to the blood. And I don't think we really talk about the ethereal value of blood. Give me just a second here. Let me. Oh man. Let's see. I'm telling you, man. Watch when we have these conversations. Watch how all of these gurus and people that we follow. Watch how they're going to start speaking along these same lines. Watch what I'm telling you, man, because there's nothing new. Nothing new. Okay. And see, of course, when you get on that internet, it doesn't show you what you're looking for. Let's dig further. Hold on. I'm going to pull it out. So blood, let's see. The ethereal value of blood. Matter of fact, you got to ask the questions right. Give me just a second. What does, if y'all want to follow along here with me as I'm typing it in, what does blood mean to the universe? Okay, see now, look. Okay. Finally tuned for live. Let's see here. Why nobody knows. This is very interesting that it's difficult to find topics like this. You see what I'm saying? Okay? This is due to the fact of what you will find by asking these type of questions. What is the value of blood to the universe? Why is blood such a big deal? The Bible says that the blood belongs to the Most High. The blood belongs to God. You're not supposed to eat the blood. All these people out here talking about medium well and well medium. Anybody that's sitting up here eating medium and pink meat with blood dripping out of it, you are trying to consume the essence of what God put in the blood. Let me see if I can find this. This has to be talked about. Hold on. Okay. Go a different direction. Okay. So crazy. Gotta go through all this. Okay. All right, here we go. We're going a little bit sciencey. So follow me, because I'm gonna try to keep it, you know what I'm saying, understandable, and try to keep, you know, I'll break it down as I need to. So clearly this is a let me read this, whatever this is to y'all. The physical and chemical properties of eumelanin. This is written by Paul Meredith and Tadeusz Sarna. It was first published in October of 2006. Okay. So in their introduction, what they say is that melanin is a key component of the human pigmentary system. The degree of pigmentation of the human skin, hair, and eyes is to a large extent all the way determined by the ability of specialized cells to synthesize the brown, black eumelanin, and listen to this, yellow-red pheomelanin. Okay? All right, now let's keep going now, because I have to pull up Wikipedia. Melanin, real melanin, or the potency of melanin consistent and congruent with the planet of the third dimension, with our third dimensional landmass, is brown. Melanin is brown. Okay, watch, look. Let's see. Melanin. Okay, melanin is a family of biomolecules organized as oligomers or polymers, which, among other functions, provide the pigments of many organisms. Melanin pigments are produced in a specialized group of cells known as melanocytes. There are 5 basic types of melanin. The strongest, eumelanin, pheomelanin, neuromelanin, allomelanin, and pyomelanin. Now we're going to go into each one, because just to give what each one means and how it represents. Okay. So here, where are we at? Pheomelanin. We're going to go into pheomelanin. Let's do this. Give me just a second. So, eumelanin is the most common type. Why? Eumelanin is the most common type because everything of the third, most 98% of all living things, organic, are melanated. It's only when you go in the caves that you begin to find creatures that are without melanin. There are rare instances in nature where you will find albino or albinism in animals. But for the most part, 98% of organic material in the third dimension is comprised of eumelanin. It's the most common type. Pheomelanin, which is produced when melanocytes are malfunctioning. Listen to this. Now, I just read the other scientific article. Okay? What it says here. Pheomelanin is yellow reddish. Now, here we are. Definition. Pheomelanin, which is produced when melanocytes are malfunctioning due to derivation of the gene to its recessive format, is a cysteine derivative that contains polybenzothiazine portions that are largely responsible for the red or yellow tint given to some skin and hair colors. Pheomelanin is the recessive breakdown of eumelanin. Okay? It's a malfunction. Therefore, you see in nature is survival of the fittest genome. This is nature. This is not nobody else's design outside of what the Most High put here for us to see. The weaker things are consumed. Okay? Now, of course, we know that we you know, if you've been following me long enough, then you understand about the story of